Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you can hear me. I got a bag over my head, and for a good reason. Welcome to James Squared here on Halos in the Infield. And James, it's the 14th episode. I like to think of Mike Scioscia and less part Logan O'Hoppe when you talk about number 14 with the Angels. What about you?
Yes, number 14. We do miss Soch, that's for sure. Especially during these last series of games. But yeah, when I think of 14, I think of Soch also.
I was trying to think Troy Gloss's old number when he first came up with the Anaheim Angels was 14.
Yeah, it was.
And after that, I can't think of one. I really can't right now. I've been trying to think about it the last couple of days. Like who wore like Joe Rudy, but I think he was number 12 or 13. I want to say. I think it was 12. Anyway, welcome to James Squared. We got to tell you why I'm wearing this. If you've been following Heedy on YouTube, you've seen not only our podcast and everybody else here, but Todd on his post-game show. He's been promoting on the 24th, 25th, 26th when Cleveland comes to town. He'll be out by the Big A, and he'll have bags for people to make. As you see, mine here has Sell the Team Arte, among other things, on the side. You'll probably see this one when I'm out there. Hello Joe will be out there, among others. Hopefully I'll be out for a couple of games. It is country weekend, but forget about it. It's bag weekend. You create the best one, there'll be a prize for you. Hopefully we'll have some food and drinks and other stuff for you to win. We'll either give out those hats, so you can have a chance to purchase them. I gotta get me one of those black hats, that Todd has, one of those Heedy ones. So be sure to follow Halos in the Infield on YouTube. And the great thing about it too, James, is that they went over 1,000 finally on Halos in the Infield. So that's a really good thing. You start seeing ads, all over the place. I'm gonna take this off, but my God, that's hot.
Looks kind of hot.
Yeah, I feel hot. Not like Willie Cahoon, but I'm. That's been everywhere. We're not going to talk about that. We'll be the only show not to talk about that. And also check us out on Believe.com. Go to Halos in the Infield. You'll have all the podcasts come up in the early mornings, 6 a.m. For all of your podcast shows that we have. And also go to Noble Works, 1621 Sinclair Street, Suite B. In Anaheim there, just 10 minutes away from Big A and Honda Center. They have some special deals there if you mention Heedy. So tell your local bartender that I'm planning to go sometime during there and basically say, you know who I am? And nobody would know. And also 714 tickets.
714 tickets. 714 tickets. You can call today and go tonight.
Now, James, I believe you used it recently. Am I right?
I used it recently, and I got my 10% because I used the HITI or the Heedy code in the little box that says for a discount. So when you go to buy tickets, put in Heedy. It's going to save you some money for sure. I think I mentioned that I got $4 seats on the club level the last game I went to. So it's worth it.
And that was against Philadelphia on May 1st?
That was a couple of games ago, actually. It was, let's see, who were we playing?
We had the Cardinals this week and the Royals this last week.
Yeah.
Road trip, and then the Phillies was last. Remember, it was during that earthquake.
Yeah.
So it was May 1st. But yeah, tickets pretty dirt cheap right now, so you can go get them. Also for everything else, I mean, the NFL schedule just came out. So
that just dropped today.
So there'll be
or
tickets of everybody's favorite football team. You can find it on 714 Tickets. The price you see is the price you're going to pay. So that's obvious going to be. I'm going to need it because the Raiders come to town twice. So that's going to be great. So yeah, 714 Tickets. Check that out. Definitely. And then shout out to the other sponsors we're going to have in the future. I know there's one on the podcast side as well. All right, so let's get to the Angel week that was. There was a lot of sadness, I think, when it comes to the games. Looking at the Kansas City game series last week, we had that game on FS1. The Angels lost 10-4. That was also Thursday night, the night that people started to get in around the third inning all the way because the metal detectors were not working. So they couldn't allow anybody in at the front gate. And I was thinking to myself, why isn't people going to the other gates? Because they didn't really have any, they didn't have enough of those metal detectors. So another embarrassing, a moment for this Angels organization. Friday, Kansas City won, I think, 2-1. Angels won 9-3 on that Saturday somehow. They just got after that starter there. And then Seth Lugo came to town on Sunday, totally shut down the Angels. Kansas City won 4-2. They took 3 out of 4 in that Royal series. And then St.
you
Louis
were right, James.
That's right, it was. Did you have a split, right?
Yeah, I went with the split. I was hoping for that split, but no, you were right all the way.
There was that
Unfortunately,
Friday game that they should have had. Friday would have been that one where they just could not muster up any offense. That would have been it, definitely. The St. Louis series, I thought, man, at least get 2 out of 3. But
we should have.
yeah,
I was thinking. I even said I think we take 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals series, but that didn't happen.
nope. The Angels lost 2 out of 3. They lose Monday 10-5. That was just an embarrassing effort there. Tuesday was a 7-6 loss. Tonight I should say, or Wednesday night, the Angels did win 7-2, but there's a reason why, and we'll just backtrack. We'll go back on it. St. Louis was the Molina series, I like to say, and to mention Tuesday, Benji Molina, he threw out the first pitch. He was able to talk to the Angels TV and radio booths, and he was making so much sense with, what he was telling Ohapi to get with the pitchers, to see how they are on and off the field, what they're comfortable with, what pitches they're comfortable with, and I hope Logan heeds that advice. Detmers on Tuesday, he faced his father's old team. Chris Detmers was in the organization for 7 years for the Cardinals. Detmers did struggle with his location, but also when it seemed like some pitches were in the zone, he was not getting the calls, and that really affected his outing. He gave up that bases clearing double by Padges in the third inning, and it was already 5-0. The Angels did come back and get some offense, but then the blowpin happened with Amir Garrett. He gave up that two-run home run to make it 7-5. The Angels did score another one, but not enough to get the win. And in the eighth inning, James, I think everybody was talking about the failed bunt by Guillorme. How the pitch was not in the zone, but it was already a play called by Ron Washington for Neto to break home, so it was too late anyway. The pitch was missed. The bunt attempt was missed, and then Neto was tagged out, headed down the line by the catcher. It led to Wash being transparent and calling out Guillorme after the game, and that has just been a firestorm on X, among other social media platforms. To me, it felt like, hey, you're calling a play that these players don't do anymore. If this was like 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, great. Like, everybody knows how to bunt. everybody knows how to play, and they also know, hey, um, we've seen that before with old like baseball highlights. At least I have on YouTube, where if a bunt play goes bad, everybody retrieves back to third. Well, Neto's not going to know what to do because he's never really been put in that situation. So there's a lot of just bad things coming out that Tuesday night. Wednesday, luckily, Lance Lynn was a starter for St. Louis, and man, did he give up a lot of runs. He left that fastball in the zone. He just does not have it. I believe he had one start against the Angels previously, or at least at the Big A, and it was in 2013, and he got lit up. So Shanuel had his first leadoff home run ever Wednesday night, and the Angels had a early 4-0 cushion, and they ended up holding on to win, of course, tonight. So, James, what did you take away from the Missouri homestand that the Angels have, in which they only got 2 wins out of 5?
Well, I got a lot of inconsistencies as with this team, as we've been seeing in every series. Two of those games we should have, one of them we should have had when we blew it later in the later innings. And last night's game, or the first one, we could have swept the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
Last night with that, we'll go back to that failed squeeze. Guillorme was at the plate. The runner was coming from, the runner coming home. Of course, it's a contact play, and the ball was outside, and you have to do anything to put the bat on the ball there. And, and then I think it was, who was it? Neto?
Neto was trapped at,
he was trapped, and he was left out to dry pretty much. Mm-hmm. So he had no, at that point, you're hung out to dry, and there's really nothing you could do about that. But you got to be able to bunt. And yeah, I understand what Ron Washington was trying to do in that instance. He was trying to provide some offense, but there was one out, and you let the guy, in my opinion, let him swing away. There's one out, bases are loaded. The pitcher was not pitching all that great in that inning. He was throwing a lot of balls. He walked a couple guys. You take your chances swinging the bat. And then we played ourselves out of that inning by running that squeeze play. And then Guillorme ends up ultimately striking out to end that inning because he had 2 strikes on him. So after that second out. So we go to the 9th, and then what do? Typical Angels, 1, 2, 3. I knew it was over at that point, but I mean, this series, you just got to play more consistent baseball, but this is a very young team. We're playing backups that are backups, bench players. So it's not too surprising, but we should have really won that game on Tuesday night, and then Monday night we had the bullpen implode again, when we had 3 of our key guys, Simber, who inning before, he gets out of that jam, and he you see him throw up the fist bump in the first game on Monday night. Then you put in more than he gives up runs. And then who was it? Was it Amir?
They gave up the.
But that was the day after, I think.
Yeah, that was Tuesday.
The day after. So, December Moore, and I think it was Luis Garcia that came in. Giving up runs, 2 of your most consistent relievers out there with the game on the line, and couldn't get it done. Gave up runs. Everybody has bad nights, but the Angels seem to have a lot of bad nights with the bullpen. But that was supposed to be a strength this year,
I know.
So it's very frustrating to see your best relievers give up that many runs. And then the game was out of reach. You just 8 runs in 1 inning. very frustrating. After we had a 4-0 lead into the 7th, we were pitching a shutout. And it seems like when they pulled Soriano, that's when they started to implode.
Yep.
But, then Tuesday's game, of course, the failed squeeze. And tonight we put it all together because I think Ron talked to the players that, hey, we got to win this one. And they came out playing on all cylinders like they've been playing, like they really know how to play. Didn't look really like an Angels team that we know. They look like a totally different Angels team that can win. So seems like we win once or twice a week. And it's very frustrating, as a fan. And that was only our 6th win at home. We're
Right.
6-16 on the season at home. That's pitiful.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a home record in April and May where we're at this point where we only have 6 home wins on the season.
And they're slated to lose over 100 games, which has never happened.
Which never happened in franchise history. Well, we find ourselves 8 games back.
Mm-hmm.
Even behind the Astros now, who are getting hot, by the way. We'll talk about that. They're only 5 games out right now as of tonight, Wednesday. So we'll see what happens. But this whole series was very winnable. And we should have at least taken 2 out of 3. I thought that was my prediction, but it just didn't happen that way. And we move on. So we'll see what happens. We're finally playing division rivals after the off day on Thursday.
Yeah, to get into that, it was it's odd to have that type of schedule where you don't play a division rival until now, after almost 2 months or less than 2 months.
I think we're the only team.
Yeah. It feels like
we're the only team that hasn't played a division rival yet.
That's fitting, ain't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned 16. The schedule has off tomorrow or today when this comes out, and then the 17th through the 19th weekend schedule at Texas, the Rangers, and they've struggled as of late. They are in second place. They're a game and a half back of Seattle. But they finally won. They avoided the sweep of Cleveland today or Wednesday 4-0. So they break that 4-game losing streak. And then they go to Houston, do the Angels, this Texas 2-step to mention. They're percentage points behind Oakland for 3rd place, 18-25. 5.5 back of first place Seattle right there. They've won 4 games straight. They found a little something there against Oakland, so they swept Oakland right there. So Framber Valdez got the win today, so that was very good for them. It seems like they'll probably run into the Astros at the wrong time. We'll see if that'll be the case there with the Texas 2-step. If I had to predict it, James, I'm gonna probably go. And again, the Rangers never do. I mean, the Angels never do well in Texas, either place. My guess is they'll win 2 out of 6. What do you think?
Well, I don't know that the Texas's rotation is horrible right now because they're going through it too with injuries of their own. I'm thinking the Angels take 2 out of 3 just because we have some of their worst pitchers going, like Heaney and Lorenzen.
Heaney will go Friday against Tyler Anderson. Heaney is 0-4.
And it is by far, I think, their worst pitcher right now. The Lorenzen has an ERA of over 4, I believe.
Yeah, Sandoval will go Saturday against Jose Urena. And then Sunday, I believe it's Soriano, going against Lorenzen. So maybe they go 2 or 3. Who knows? We don't know the Texas starters yet, but we'll see the Astros series how they'll do with that. That will be interesting to see. I think we've lost James. We'll see if he comes back here. Probably need to refresh, but yeah, we'll see how the Angels do with the Texas two-step. That'll be something there. Let's go to some news and notes and some injuries while we wait for Milu to come back. Angels, of course, they've lost so many players via injury. It's been a real struggle. But Kevin Pillar somehow is doing great things at the plate along with Willie Calhoun. Both contributed to the Wednesday win against the Cardinals. It's just funny how the new guys just come in, off of the street basically and help out. It's just the weirdest thing. The other news and notes, I should say. So today, Davis Daniel was recalled from AAA. He's the right-handed pitcher. Amir Garrett, the lefty, was designated for assignment. Angels needed to make a change in their bullpen, and they did. Garrett, again, gave up that 2-run home run in that Tuesday loss, 7-6 to the Cardinals. Garrett, age number 32, just like his jersey number. He posted a 5.06 ERA with 11 strikeouts, 5 walks, in 5 1/3 innings and 6 appearances. The Angels replaced him with Daniel, and Daniel gives the Angels another long reliever to go with. He posted a 2.19 ERA with 12 and 1/3 innings, 3 appearances with the club last season. Nico Goodrum is also another player that came from, I want to say, Tampa, before that Detroit. He joined the active roster because Adrianza is out as well. James, Milu, I was just talking about Amir Garrett. Now, the struggles he had, I guess it was too much for Washington. Remember the game I think you went to? Washington came out and he waved everybody away for that mound visit to talk to Amir Garrett straight up. I guess that's how much guidance he really needs. He's always been a hothead wherever he's gone. And again, Garrett just didn't seem to make it here with the Angels.
Yeah. Well, he was DFA'd today, so I don't know. Maybe he's had some personality issues or issues with Wash. It's been a tough season, so I wouldn't doubt that. He's young. He's had past issues. He tried to fight the whole
Pirates team.
That whole team before,
Yeah.
so. And it's interesting that they DFA'd him after he gives up that 2-run homer in Tuesday night's game. So, the kid has good stuff.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mila.
Oh, I was just going to say that, he's good stuff. Maybe just his head's not in the right.
Yeah.
In the right frame of mind right now,
When I was told the news about it, Milu, I thought right away he probably did something last night after he gave up the home run.
Right.
And nobody liked it in the locker room. And that's what led to this DFA. That's only a guess, depending on, maybe something didn't go his way. And that's all I could think of. But expect more moves to continue throughout the season. And, Haiti will be right on it. Shout out to, Todd and Fernando and you in the chat as well. The group chat with the new news right away. Some other topics we'll talk about. So this topic came up with Andrew from Haiti, who does the behind the scenes things, the shorts you see. He does a great job with that. Hopefully you can take some shorts from here. But the question is about Mike Trout. Now, he's out probably for the rest of the season. My hope is that he come back and play this year. But the question was posed by Andrew in the chat, and it was this. Does Mike Trout have a lot of trade value with his contract? Now, I think before we get into it, we'll talk about his contract because remember he signed the extension, I believe, back in 2019. He signed a 12-year, $426,500,000 contract until 2030. He's getting an average annual salary of $35,441,000. Trout this year is earning a base salary of $35,450,000. So it's funny to see like how the average salary or the total salary every year will be $37,116,000 each year, and that's just so much for someone who never plays a whole season. Just to be honest with you, it just really shocks me how that is, but that's cheaper than other contracts, which is funny to think. So thinking about that contract, James, it goes until 2030. Again, 37,116 each year. He'll be 38 in 2030. He's 32 right now. And again, another injury. And I think we talked about it the last show of the injuries he's had since, I believe it was 2019. I'll go through that one more time here. So in 2018, it was a wrist injury. 2019, it was a foot injury. There had to be something in 2020 too. But there was a calf injury in 21, back and rib in 22, hand and shoulder in 23, and then meniscus this year in 24 here. So, how would you answer this question, Milu? Does Mike Trout have a lot of trade value with this contract? How many players could you get for him? How many prospects will a team, let's say like Philadelphia, Orioles, the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, let's just say those teams, what would you give for someone like him who maybe won't play a whole season each year?
Well, I do believe he still has a lot of trade value. I mean, he's one of the greatest players probably that's played the game this generation. So, of course, he does have some trade value, but, his injuries bring up many questions. And you could still, if he were to move his no trade clause and be traded to a team and agree to be traded to a team, you could still get a lot from Mike Trout. I would ask for a lot of high-end prospects. They would have to be some major league ready, some of your best prospects, from a team. So I'd be asking for a lot of, much like we would have with Shohei if we would have traded Shohei Ohtani. I know, right? You still ask for your top tier players, but that being said, he's in his prime. He's injury prone now. He's more like a King Griffey Jr. type of player, where injuries are kind of derailing his Hall of Fame career. But he's still a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think there is still some trade value with Mike Trout. I mean, will he waive his no trade clause? That's remained to be seen. He wants to stay in Anaheim. His wife loves Anaheim and Orange County and Newport. I don't know. We face this question every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a bunch of the reporters ask Trout every year, does he want to be traded? And he always says, no, I'm loyal. I don't want to stay in Anaheim. But there's going to come a time where we should probably cut ties if we keep going on like this, and it's been going on for 10 years now. We may have to, cut ties with him, but it's up to him because he has the no trade clause, So we'll see in the coming months if this question becomes reality or he ends up staying with the Angels. But I do think within the next couple of years, if we're still not winning, you got to cut him loose and give him a chance to win somewhere else. As hard as it may be for us Angels fans to even fathom, he's a guy that needs to win, and he wants to win. And I wouldn't blame him if he went somewhere else at this point.
You would think, Milu, that if he went somewhere else, he would instantly get healthy. You'd feel that way, you know.
Yeah, you would. Yeah,
Whatever
that's fair.
Whatever the trainers aren't doing out here, the others would. You know, maybe a scenario where he goes somewhere else would help. Some contract notes real quick. Again, he has that full no trade clause. His contract contains no opt-outs. This is like the Bryce Harper contract with Philadelphia. And it's fitting that the last game Trout played was against Bryce Harper and the Phillies.
Right. His favorite team.
Yeah. Also, I didn't know this, but he gets a home game suite and Diamond Club seats for anyone in the contract. If he won All-Star MVP again, he gets $50K. Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, or ALCS MVP awards. If he gets any of those, it's $100K. And then if he gets AL MVP, he gets $500,000. So, some incentives there. I don't know if he'll ever reach those again, to be honest with you. It's like a tale of two contracts when it comes to Mike Trout. You could expect those things, you know, before the contract was signed, before the extension, right? Now he's on the other side of that extension, other side of his playing career, where it's getting ugly in a way. And again, you got all those reporters or media people saying, especially Stephen A., and that was really in bad taste, I think, what he said. It was really unfortunate, but we expect that from him.
He doesn't know anything about baseball or the Angels. That's the thing. He's just a talking head that just has these, in my opinion, dumb takes about everything, pretty much.
Yeah. What he said, you know, about Ohtani, you know, not being the face of baseball because he can't speak English.
Yeah.
And then driving by the stadium, it's a great, nice looking stadium, but Ohtani doesn't deserve to be there. And then what he said this year about Mike Trout, you know, that's what you get for being hurt, staying with the Angels. But there's so many like him that want Trout, you know, elsewhere so they can win, so they can have more coverage of a superstar, you know, on the East Coast. Since many of them has gone to the West Coast. When you think about it, Machado went from Baltimore to San Diego. It even goes with like LeBron going from Cleveland to LA. You know, they wanted him back in the East Coast to cover that.
You know why that is?
Go ahead. What is that?
It's because it's a lot tougher to play in those places on the East Coast. The media is a lot tougher. The fans are a lot tougher.
That's true.
It's brutal. Some players can't hack it, and they come to the West Coast, or they go to a team that they could be the superstar and not have to deal with all what goes into being an East Coast player with the media. You know, it's brutal. LA, you deal with it, but you know, if you come to the Angels, they're not allowed apparently to ask the bigger questions that a bigger media market reporter asks. You know,
because that from San Blum.
Yeah.
Softball
style questions.
Anyway, that's bad. I like, for me, I'll say if you're wanting to trade with the Orioles, I would try to get like so many of their top, 10 prospects. Literally anything they can give.
Yeah, the Orioles have the best prospect pool in all of baseball right now. So you get everything you could for a guy like Mike Trout.
We need starters. We need
regardless of his injury
Outfielders.
history. Yeah.
We need infielders.
We need a
all
whole
that.
damn team.
Yeah. And there was time, I think before 2020, how they were talking about, hey, if they trade him to the Phillies, they can give them a whole team. But I think we're past that when it comes to trade value for Trout. I don't think they can give a whole team anymore, but they can give at least 4 or 5 prospects. I think that would be the only, because of how much the contract is every year. I think that's the only what they can only get now. So I think the trade value, to answer the question, has gone way down. Okay, so the last topic, and it's been made all over Heedy and all the podcasts and all the programs that we've done. I haven't really had the chance to talk about it here. And it basically comes down to the question right there, or the opinions here. So venting on Arte Moreno, and then what we had was special. I guess I'll first talk about what we had. We could say, hey, the 0-2 team, it was just right place at right time, getting hot, whatever the case may be. You had all those guys that were there, some other guys from other teams coming in and having a great run. 0-3 was the sale of Arte Moreno, I think, of May of 2003, I want to say, and got it from Disney. And right away, he had his imprints on the community, on the stadium, lowering prices for everything. I can remember the $8 parking, the beer being cheaper, even though I couldn't drink it at the time. But then the free agents signed in that offseason before 2004. I couldn't believe it. Vladimir Guerrero coming here with Bartolo Colon, Jose Guillen, Kelvin Escobar. I'm thinking to myself, man, that's a guy that really cares about the team. And they went on to win so many divisional championships. They couldn't get over the hump. Some bad calls or some bad pitching, whatever the case was. It's been so long where either they had to run into the White Sox or the Red Sox. It's mostly the Red Sox. And then the Yankees in 2009. And that goes back to kind of the last year the Angels were ruling the West. I know that was one of the things that Ron Washington said they wanted to take the West or take back the West or whatever the case was.
And how's that working out so far?
Yeah, that's pretty much the last time that they really ruled. You saw Texas coming, though, with all the young guns they had. And then after that, they took over. They went to a couple World Series, couldn't win until 23. Meanwhile, the Angels after 2009, it was trying to use whatever you could from the farm, but then trading away a lot of pieces for older pieces that just didn't work out. And then once 2012 came, you had the Pujols signing, Josh Hamilton in 2015, whenever it was, 2014, I want to say. I forget I think it was 2016. But anyway, it
was Josh Hamilton. He was 2013 and 2014. Yeah, I was just looking him up today, actually.
Ain't that crazy? And you thought, okay,
December. Yeah.
You thought, okay, they're gonna win at least 2 championships with Albert Pujols, with Mike Trout, this young guy coming up, with C.J. Wilson being signed there, with Albert, with all the bullpen pieces that were signed there at the ESPN Zone that one day where no one gave a damn. And then, getting Hamilton, and you thought, man, they're at least going to play the Cardinals twice in the World Series, and they're at least going to win 2 times out of how many? We're going to take back the West. We're going to win it. Now, they did win the West because of a hot last 2 months in 2014. They were 1 game short in 2015 in Texas, and then they haven't been close ever since. Then Arte stopped spending. He's been, I guess, burned by other free agent contracts that he made. He also meddled too much to the point where, Instead of getting Garrett Cole, they got the next best thing, but a third baseman we didn't need, and Anthony Rendon. And that's hurting to this day. And now Arte is just signing these 1 year veterans or 2 year guys, and they're worth nothing, right? Or not that they're worth nothing, but they eventually go elsewhere and play better. And that's going to happen with Drury. You just watch. The pitching, they get off the street or they get through the draft and they're not as good. And we see it with this rotation this year and last year too, where they either get injured or they perform just less than what they should be. It's just frustrating to see how this team in the last 20 plus years under Arte, it went from the highest of highs literally to this year the lowest of lows. And I just cannot stand anymore. It's a reason why we all got these bags that we'll wear in a couple of weekends from now, or next weekend, not this weekend coming up. But
The
it's just
TD Revolution.
that's what Todd is mentioning. And it starts with the bags with Halo Joe as well. So we'll be out there, and I could just Milu, I could just hope that if the losing continues this year, which it probably will, because Arte did nothing to revamp the roster. He kept payroll low, said they were going to spend the Ohtani money on free agents and didn't. Robert Stevenson, the one free agent they signed, Tommy John, is out. Or elbow surgery, whatever the case was. It would have been interesting to see him with Estevez, competing for that closer role. That would have helped Estevez, I believe, this year. But anyway, it's amazing to see the opposite of progress happening with the Angels. And the community's out of touch. There's barely 20K coming out every game or less. I've gone to a couple, like 3 games this year. I really don't plan to go to many more. I at least went once every homestand. But now I don't want to give any more of my money to Arte Moreno. And even though, we go through 7-1 for tickets, I'm willing to, buy it from, someone who used 7-4 tickets, not straight from Arte, basically. But I'm just frustrated because this is something I loved. Like the Angels, when I grew up, they were bad, or they were trying to get better with the Periwinkle and all that. And that 2002 team just really, really hit me. And now that's gone, basically. And just everything that you knew from Socia and all the fundamentals and all the solid hits and home runs and the spirit of being an Angel fan and wearing red. Remember that used to be a thing. Now the jerseys suck, the quality of them. The city connects, the beach is like 30 miles away or 30 minutes away. It's nowhere near Angel Stadium, but you get the reason why they have them. They're not that bad looking. It's just the irony of the beach being far away traffic-wise. It's just frustrating all over, Milu, and I think that's why I wanted just to vent, because we're all sick of the losing. We're all sick of covering losing. We're all sick of the owner meddling and ruining everything. And it's only going to get worse, it feels like, until he's gone. And I hate to be like Mr. Negative every show, but until he's gone, I have no reason to believe. And it's just, it's juicy news for us to do every week, but deep down, it really hurts. So, you have anything, Milu, about this? How the Angels used to be, and how Arte Moreno's kind of ruined the team?
Yeah, I mean, I feel your frustration too. I feel it every day. As fans, we do. As Angels fans, depressing. Like I still look forward to games because I want them to do well, but then we get disappointed, and then the whole cycle starts over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that meme. They do well, they lose, and then the whole cycle starts all over again, being depressed. Depression sets in, then you get happy, they win. Yeah. But it's no, I just like you, I the late 80s, early 90s, when the Angels would lose a lot. And at that point in time, I didn't care if the Angels would win because I knew I'd hoped they'd win one day, and they finally did. Because I knew one day they'd eventually put it all together, and they did. And then it was just like you, we went through the good times in the organization when we were winning, signing free agents, good free agents that actually helped us, but it was mostly with homegrown talent that we won with for a long time. And then after 2009, the 2010s, and then we got lucky in 2014. It all started going downhill with all these free agent signings that didn't quite work out and just sucked money out of the organization, and prospects that we sold off from the GMs that we had previously. We've had like 3 or 4 GMs in the past 20 years. So it's been very frustrating, and I don't know, but every season I still have hope. I still go to spring training. I still hope they turn it around. Even this year, I still hope they turn it around. I still have eternal hope. I say, oh, we're only 8 games back. I always say 10's the magic number. If you get to 10, it's it. It's over. And by the All-Star break, I believe you have to be at least at 5 or 6 games to even compete for the division, for the rest of the season. But I'm an eternal optimist, I guess, with this team, but I do get very depressed, and it's like I was telling somebody recently, I was like, this team is so bad, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no hope right now for anything, and it's so frustrating. We have a bad product on the field, bad ownership, bad organization, bad scouting, bad organizational depth.
Mm.
They don't even care for their minor leaguers. They don't set them up with housing or anything. It's just all the way bad right now. And it's just, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? It doesn't seem like it. Seems like we're stuck in this big black hole. And it's worse. I'd rather lose with knowing that there's going to be better days ahead, but there's not even better days ahead. What do we have to look forward to? More losing?
Mm-hmm.
More free agent bench players that we signed to plug a hole? More injuries? More Tommy John surgeries? More torn shoulders? More back problems? More torn hamstrings? It seems like that's the news every day. We hear of somebody going down. Right now, it's league wide with Tommy John. It's we discussed that's kind of down from previous years. The number of pitchers that actually have Tommy John, but it just seems like the Angels get all these erroneous injuries.
And it's funny too because they already switched, training staffs. They had that guy there since 1979, I think it was. And,
right.
I don't think he was. I don't know what he was probably teaching or preaching or doing with these guys, but I think Rendon was one who said, "Oh yeah, we don't even have yoga. We had that in Washington." Certain methods were not there before, and I'm not sure they're here this year. One thing I just feel bad kind of for Ron Washington in a way because he's trying to get these guys going, the young kids especially, trying new things, talking with them. Like he was talking to Paris today about, the way he got doubled up tonight, he was telling him not to, not get stuck there and look for the ball and run back to first if it's caught. Something he probably should have been taught better in the minor leagues. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe it's just an all-around failure with the organization. It starts from the top. We do got to get out of here, but it was good to vent a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not like, and I think Todd kind of feels this way too, where he has yelled far too much already. It's not worth it anymore. And I have never been one to yell unless it was like something really egregious, but there's no reason to yell. I don't think there is, unless it's something like really personal with me.
Yeah.
It's just they're going to be the way they are because of the ownership, and that's the way it is. So let's get out of here, but before we do, make sure you follow us, like, subscribe, leave comments on, Halos in the Infield on YouTube, and listen to us on Believe. Check out our sponsors at Noble Ale Works to drown your sorrows and drink some great beers there. They have all sorts of types of beers there. Check out 714 Tickets.
714 Tickets. 714 Tickets. Call today. Go tonight.
That's the way it sounds right now for the Angels. It's like, we'll go, but
cheap tickets.
Got to see if the tickets are worth it. Yeah, we'll see about that paper bag weekend, not the country weekend, but we'll see how that goes.
Kip Moore.
I don't even know who that is. Bro.
I don't even know who that is either, to tell you the truth. I'm like, who? I'm not the biggest country music fan. I know the big acts, but I don't know who this Kip Moore guy is.
Nope.
Sorry, Kip Moore.
Well, we'll find out on Saturday if we stick around for sure.
If you're watching.
Yeah. All right. We'll get out of here. Thank you for watching James Squared, and we'll see you next time.
I like to say there's better days ahead, but I just don't know.